Senator Lindsey Graham is sick and tired of Vladimir Putin. He's tired of this invasion that Russia's gotten to Ukraine. And as a matter of fact, he's got an idea. Although he went on, he was talking about the same old right-wing talking points when it comes to things like this. How if Trump was still in office, he'd be kicking Putin's ass. Also his face. Let's watch.
They didn't do this on Trump's watch, Russia, because Trump would have kicked their ass. What's happened is that Putin looks at Biden, he sized him up, he thinks he can get away with it, and he's going to keep going and going and going, and nobody in the West is going to stop. The reason Putin invaded is he sees Biden as weak. The reason he didn't do this on Trump's watch is because he was afraid of him.
There's some great international policy there. He's talking because he was afraid of him. It's as plain and simple as that. That's all it really takes. But it wasn't just that got people's attention. He also went on Twitter and he called for Putin's assassination. Let's look at what Lindsey Graham had to say there. Is there a Brutus in Russia? Is there a more successful Colonel Stauffenberg in the Russian military? The only way this ends is for somebody in Russia to take this guy out. You'd be doing your country and the world a great service. He didn't stop there. Lindsey Graham continued on. The only people who can fix this are the Russian people. Easy to say, hard to do. Unless you want to live in the darkness for the rest of your life, be isolated from the rest of the world in abject poverty and live in darkness, you need to step up to the plate. I'm not sure exactly who's talking about there, but in case you're wondering, man, assassinating Putin, taking him out, I feel like someone else said this week. Maybe Lindsey Graham has been listening to Sean Hannity as he said this earlier.
Putin, I've been saying it all week. It's interesting the media finally picked it up. Putin has got to be stopped by whatever means necessary, one way or another. It's a simple rule in life. If you invade an innocent country and you kill women and children and men, you forfeit your right to lead a country and you forfeit your right to live. And I hope that people around Vladimir Putin, well, I hope they take action sooner than later. Now, currently, the US operates under a decades-old executive order, first signed by President Gerald Ford. It prohibits the US government employees from engaging in political assassination. But my final question tonight is, when it comes to Putin, is it time to now revisit the rule? My rule I like better. New rule, you invade a sovereign country, you kill innocent men, women, and children, you forfeit your right to run a country and you forfeit your right to live. It's that simple.
It's just that simple. Now, by the way, I think Lindsey Graham must have been told by someone, hey, you sound a lot like Sean Hannity right now. So he went on Fox and Friends. He tried to tone down a little bit. Now think about the way he first said what we should do with Putin to what he finishes to what he said we should do with Putin. Watch this one.
Mr. Ambassador, you're supporting a war criminal in Putin. Your country's engaged in war crimes in front of the entire world. You're bombing innocent civilians. You're using banned munitions. You have a record, your country does, of dropping barrel bombs on people in Syria. You've destroyed Chechnya by massive war crimes. You're committing war crimes in the Ukraine. You need to apologize to the world for how Putin has stolen your country blind, how they're dismembering a neighboring democracy called the Ukraine, how they're killing innocent men, women, and children, indiscriminate use of force in violation of the Geneva Convention. You, my friend, are the one who needs to apologize, and when it comes to Putin, he needs to go to jail.
So it's now jail. Now, by the way, already the headlines were swirling. They were talking about things from people from both sides of the aisle that were criticizing Lindsey Graham for these comments, from Laura Ingraham to Ilhan Omar to even people like Ted Cruz, Marjorie Taylor Greene. They all piled on you guys. So I don't know if he's going to recover from this. Lindsey Graham has never had any kind of slip-ups before. What are you guys thinking?
I just think that it's a great idea to take foreign policy advice from a guy who doesn't even know how to appropriately refer to the country that's just been invaded, the Ukraine. Look, I just love the argument that Trump and the Republican Party would have handled this better.
Yes. When
Trump spent, and I apologize for how vulgar this is.
Yes.
4 years in office gargling Putin's testicles.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Like, I'm sorry, but Trump was a complete apologist for the worst behavior from Vladimir Putin, completely denied that Putin did all sorts of terrible things, including attempting to meddle in our elections. And so, let's say, let's give Lindsey Graham the benefit of the doubt, and somehow Trump would be tougher. The Republican Party would be tougher. What would they do differently? Would they engage in a direct war with Russia, a nuclear power? Is that a smart idea? I mean, these people, the armchair general garbage coming from the Republican Party right now is laughable, especially when they can't get the most basic facts right, including referring to the country that just got invaded accurately.
Yeah, so I'll make the transition from testicles to golf balls, because Lindsey Graham on the golf course was doing everything that Trump asked him to do, including literally bending over backwards to pick up a golf ball anytime Trump asked, because he just didn't want to pick it up after he putt. So we've already seen how loyal he is many times. Now, I understand what you guys are saying. What's interesting to me is how, like, we're living in some of the dumbest times on social media. Like, if you think about it, Sean Spicer had a tweet in 2013 where one person unfollowed him and he tweeted, "Show yourself, you coward, you unfollowed me on Twitter." And then we have the time where Elon Musk tweets and calling a certified diver who's trying to save a Thai soccer team in a cave a pedo. And then we have Trump also engaging in something like this, but maybe not as totally direct as this. And the other thing about Lindsey Graham's tweet is obviously it's erroneous, where, look, when you make someone who just spoke with Nick Fuentes and Marjorie Taylor Greene look like maybe she has her head screwed on a little bit tighter because she's not calling for the assassination of another leader of, you can't even call it a democracy, but basically a dictator of another foreign country. It's laughable at best when he says, not only calling for the killing, but also saying, like, if you let this happen, you're gonna live in poverty. Like, dude, have you paid attention to what's going on? Have you seen the way people are living? Have you seen the way Vladimir Putin has been running his country? He basically uses the entire country as a, hate to say it, Russian mafia state, and basically uses every single resource that they have for his gain. Thus, he has a yacht that could be worth more than some countries. So bad on everyone's part, living in the dumbest times, and sees the yacht.
Well, I mean, I guess when you look at what we're dealing with here, when Marjorie Taylor Greene calls you what? Dangerous and unhinged is what she was saying when she went after Lindsey Graham here, and then he changes his tune. There's a reason why she puts her face in front of cameras. There it is right there. There's a reason why Marjorie Taylor Greene puts her face in front of cameras and goes to white nationalist events, and then afterwards thinks everything's gonna be okay. She thinks that because most of the time it'll be okay.
If technically, if this were to happen, like, does Lindsey Graham have any idea like who's next in charge? Like, haven't we heard about this so many times over with like the Middle East? It's like, oh, well, if this person gets taken out, then it's gonna be okay. It's not. Like, they have a dude who like basically took Putin's orders and invaded Crimea. They have another guy in waiting who could potentially be the next guy who allegedly went after a whistleblower and poisoned them. Like, it's not really gonna get better if you just take out this one guy. It was like a non-calculated move at all. It was just the epitome of dumb.
Don't make the mistake of thinking that these people ever consider the consequences of the things that they advocate for, especially when it comes to foreign policy. I mean, and look, that it goes back to the very issue that impacts every other political question, right? And it's who's the real boss? Who's really manipulating the commentary and the suggestions coming from these lawmakers? And it's defense contractors, it's various corporations. And so for them, I mean, for me, hearing the kind of rhetoric coming from people like Lindsey Graham or from various Republican members of Congress who are calling for a no-fly zone, they're not thinking about the ramifications of that. They're not considering how much of a disaster it would be to engage in a direct war with Russia. All they're thinking about is, well, this is what I'm supposed to advocate for. This is what the defense contractors want. So who cares about innocent civilians dying as a result of this? Let's just go for it.
Yep, and Lindsey Graham,
it's insane.
And Lindsey Graham, I guess in this particular case, erroneously believed that then he could also say, hey, we're this tough guy diplomacy, because that's what they always like to say. Peace through strength, just start shooting at people, because they're buying into their own BS that, hey, we're America, we got the guns. there's this little secret. So do they. Just in case they're wondering about that. So they forget those parts. We're buying too much in the fact that everyone just has to bow to us and nothing else is gonna happen. If we say stop, they're gonna stop. That's why Hillary Clinton said years ago, you know, I tell them to stop it. It's why, who's the latest that said it? Said the same thing about Putin. I tell them to stop it. You know, Vladimir Putin, stop it. Well, that'll work because you're an American. Okay.
Maybe if Lindsey Graham offers to hug Vladimir Putin like he did Dianne Feinstein, we could end the war.
It'll be all over. This is such simple diplomacy.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.